There's a skill you use every single second of every day, but you probably never ever think about it. Well, not until it's gone. It's not your strength, it's not your endurance, it's your balance. And it turns out that mastering this invisible skill might just be one of the most important things you can do for your health and, get this, your longevity. So let's dive into why it deserves your full attention. We've all been there, right? That little split-second wobble. It feels like nothing, totally trivial. But that one moment, it's actually a window into this huge, complex system working inside your body. It's the system that's the difference between moving gracefully and, well, a potential catastrophe. And for millions of people, that little wobble becomes something way more serious. So take that one wobble and multiply it across the entire country. You get a pretty staggering cost. $80 billion. That's the annual healthcare bill in the US just for falls. And it's on track to rocket past $100 billion by 2030. We're not just talking about a few scrapes and bruises here. This is a massive public health crisis that's basically hiding in plain sight. And that brings us right to our first section, the invisible catastrophe. We're going to look at the numbers because they paint a really stark picture of what happens when we start to neglect our body's most fundamental skill, just staying upright. The reality is, well, it's pretty sobering. 1 in every 4 older Americans will fall this year. And globally, falls are the #2 cause of preventable death, right behind car accidents. But this isn't just an issue for older folks, not at all. For athletes, ankle sprains are the single most common injury out there. And once you sprain it, the re-injury rates can be as high as 80%. So yeah, balance matters for literally everyone. Okay, but here's the really hopeful part. Because the data is also crystal clear on this, balance is a trainable skill. The evidence shows that targeted training just works. It can reduce falls by nearly a quarter, slash the risk of broken bones by a whopping 61%, and cut down ankle sprains by a third. I mean, look at this one case study. A pro basketball team in Italy started a balance program and saw their ankle sprains drop by 81%. 81. That's a game changer. So to figure out how to train balance, we've got to understand what it even is. And it's not just one thing. It's more like this beautiful, complex symphony that's being conducted by your brain, with 3 main sections all playing together in perfect harmony. First up, you've got the vestibular system. It's deep in your inner ear and it acts like a compass, sensing every little tilt and motion. Then there's proprioception. You can think of this as your body's internal GPS. It's got tens of thousands of little sensors in your muscles and joints, all telling your brain exactly where every body part is in space. And finally, your visual system gives you that external anchor, connecting you to the world around you. So how does your brain actually use these 3 systems at the same time? It's constantly doing this incredible thing called sensory reweighting. So let's say you're walking in a dark room. Your brain dials down the unreliable visual input and cranks up the signals from your inner ear and your body's GPS. Or if you're on an unstable surface like sand, it starts to trust your vision more than the confusing signals coming from your feet. And the coolest part? This whole reweighting process is itself a skill that you can train. All right, so now that we've got the what down, let's get to the how. We're going to walk through 5 super simple but proven techniques you can use to start rewiring your brain and your body for way better balance, like starting today. The most fundamental, and you could argue the most important, balance exercise is just standing on one leg. It seems so simple, right? But it's actually a full body challenge. It forces over a dozen muscles, from your foot all the way up to your core, to work together just to keep you from tipping over. It's basically a workout disguised as standing still. And if you need a little more convincing, get this. A major study found that middle-aged and older adults who couldn't stand on one leg for just 10 seconds had 118% higher risk of death from any cause over the next 10 years. Just think about that. That's more than double the risk. This simple little test is an incredibly powerful predictor of how long you're going to live. So how can you start practicing this safely? You just follow this really simple progression. Start near a counter or a wall with both hands on it for support. As that gets easier, move to just one hand, then to just one fingertip, and finally, no support at all. The goal is to work up to a steady 30-second hold. And just remember to keep a tiny bend in your standing knee. You want your muscles to be active, not just locking your joints out. Okay, so once you're feeling pretty steady on one foot, it's time for the next challenge. Take away your main source of balance information, your eyes. The second you close your eyes, you force your proprioceptive and vestibular systems to kick into overdrive. It's basically strength training for your non-visual balance systems, and it is incredibly effective. Let's talk about your calves, because they are the unsung heroes of balance. They control something called the ankle strategy, which is your body's first line of defense against a fall. When you sway, it's your ankle muscles that fire first to pull you back. So strengthening them with simple calf raises, just lifting your heels slowly off the ground and holding, is one of the absolute best things you can do to build a stable foundation. Our fourth technique couldn't be simpler. Kick off your shoes. The bottoms of your feet have something like 200,000 nerve endings, and they are designed to send all this rich, detailed data to your brain. But cushy shoes, they mute those signals. It's like trying to read Braille with oven mitts on. Going barefoot reawakens that connection, which leads to way more muscle activation and a much smarter feedback loop between your feet and your brain. And finally, to really future-proof your stability, you've got to prepare for the real world, for unpredictable things like an icy patch or a gravelly path. This is where training on unstable surfaces comes in. Using something like a foam pad or a wobble cushion makes the ground unreliable, and it forces your entire neuromuscular system to adapt and react on the fly. Just be sure you've really mastered the basics on solid ground first, okay? So why all the urgency? Why start this now? Because balance isn't something you just lose overnight. It's more like a slow, steady erosion that tends to start around age 50. But the really good news is that there's a powerful fix, and it works no matter how old you are. This chart shows the declines so clearly. In your 30s, you can probably stand on one leg for over a minute, no problem. By the time you're 70, that average drops to under 30 seconds, and by 80, it's down to just 12. This is that slow erosion in action, driven by totally normal changes in our nerves, joints, and muscles over time. But here's the most important takeaway of this whole thing. It is never too late. Your nervous system is incredibly adaptable. Neuroplasticity, right? Research actually shows that you can measure improvements after just one single session of balance training, with real, lasting gains showing up within a few weeks. You can always, always get better. And the best part about all this, you don't need to block out an hour at the gym. Just weave these little exercises into your day. Stand on one leg while your coffee's brewing. Try closing your eyes for the last 30 seconds of brushing your teeth. Do some calf raises while you're waiting in line at the grocery store. These tiny, consistent inputs create real, powerful neurological change. So here's the bottom line. Training your balance helps prevent injuries, it extends your independence as you get older, and it even sharpens your mind. Every single wobble and correction you practice is just your nervous system getting smarter and more resilient. This incredible system is working for you nonstop every second of the day. So the real question is, isn't it time you started working for it?